February 14th on this day. In 1014, Pope Benedict VIII crowned Henry II as Holy Roman Emperor, strengthening the alliance between the Church and the German monarchy. In 1076, Pope Gregory VII excommunicated Holy Roman Emperor Henry IV for the first time, highlighting a major power struggle between the papacy and the monarchy. In 1349, 2,000 Jews were burned at the stake in Strasbourg, Germany, in a tragic event during a time of intense persecution and widespread scapegoating. In 1400, the deposed Richard II was murdered in Pontefract Castle in Yorkshire, ending his reign and further destabilizing the English monarchy. In 1549, Maximilian II, brother of Emperor Charles V, was formally recognized as the future King of Bohemia, reinforcing Habsburg authority in Central Europe. In 1760, Richard Allen, who would later found the African Methodist Episcopal Church, was born in Philadelphia, becoming a pioneering figure in African-American religious history. In 1766, Thomas Malthus, the English economist and demographer, best known for his influential theories on population growth, was born. In 1779, Captain James Cook was killed by Hawaiians during a dispute over a stolen ship's cutter, ending the famed explorer's Pacific voyages. In 1797, at the Battle of Cape St. Vincent near Portugal, a British fleet under Admiral Sir John Jervis defeated a larger Spanish fleet commanded by Admiral Don José de Córdoba y Ramos. Captain Horatio Nelson distinguished himself during the battle. In 1817, Frederick Douglass, who would become a leading abolitionist, author, and activist, was born into slavery. In 1819, Christopher Latham Sholes, the inventor of the first practical typewriter, was born. In 1845, Quentin Hogg, an English philanthropist known for his educational work, was born. In 1848, President James Polk became the first U.S. president to be photographed in office, an important moment in the history of presidential imagery. In 1859, George Washington Gale Ferris, the inventor of the Ferris wheel, was born. In 1870, Esther Morris became the world's first female justice of the peace, representing a major milestone for women in the legal profession. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell and Elisha Gray both applied for patents for the telephone. The Supreme Court would later rule Bell as the rightful inventor. In 1894, Jack Benny, an American entertainer renowned for his unique comedic style and timing, was born. In 1900, General Roberts led 20,000 British troops to invade the Orange Free State in South Africa during the Boer War. In 1903, Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung married Emma Rauschenbach, a Swiss watch heiress, beginning a partnership that would last until her death in 1955. In 1912, Arizona became the 48th state to join the United States, completing the contiguous states. In 1915, Kaiser Wilhelm II invited the U.S. ambassador to Berlin for talks about the ongoing war, signaling diplomatic tensions. In 1919, physicist Albert Einstein divorced Serbian physicist and mathematician Miliva Maric after 16 years of marriage. In 1920, Carrie Chapman Catt founded the League of Women Voters in Chicago to celebrate the imminent ratification of the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote. In 1924, Thomas Watson founded International Business Machines Corporation, better known as IBM, paving the way for advances in computing technology. In 1929, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre took place in Chicago, where 7 gangsters, allegedly on Al Capone's orders, were killed in a brutal gang war during Prohibition. In 1931, the original Dracula film starring Bela Lugosi as the iconic vampire was released, becoming a classic in horror cinema. In 1934, St. Valentine's Day honored 2 Christian martyrs named Valentine, a priest and physician, and the Bishop of Terni, both reportedly beheaded on this day. The tradition of sending valentines became popular in the 17th century and was commercialized in the United States during the 1840s. In 1939, Germany launched the battleship Bismarck, which would become one of the most famous warships of the Second World War. In 1940, Britain announced that all merchant ships would be armed in response to rising naval threats during the Second World War. In 1942, Japanese paratroopers attacked Sumatra. Aidan McCarthy's Royal Air Force unit flew to Palembang, where 30 Royal Australian Air Force Lockheed A-28 Hudson bombers awaited. In 1945, the siege of Budapest ended as Soviet forces took the city, with only 785 German and Hungarian soldiers managing to escape. In 1946, the electronic numerical integrator and computer, known as ENIAC, the world's first general-purpose high-speed electronic digital computer, was demonstrated to the public. In 1946, Gregory Hines, an influential American dancer, choreographer, and actor who revitalized tap dancing, was born. In 1949, the United States accused the Soviet Union of interning up to 14 million people in labor camps, drawing international condemnation. In 1957, the Georgia State Senate prohibited interracial athletics, reflecting the era's deep racial segregation in the United States. In 1965, Malcolm X's home was firebombed, although there were no reported injuries. In 1971, President Richard Nixon installed a secret recording system in the White House, a decision that would later play a significant role in the Watergate scandal. In 1971, Moscow announced a new 5-year plan aimed at expanding consumer production in the Soviet Union. In 1973, the United States and Hanoi established a group to coordinate reconstruction aid directly to North Vietnam. In 1979, armed guerrillas launched an attack on the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, escalating tensions during the Iranian Revolution. In 1984, Jane Torville and Christopher Dean of Britain captivated the world at the Sarajevo Winter Olympics, performing to Maurice Ravel's Bolero and earning perfect scores for their ice dancing routine. In 1985, Vietnamese troops surrounded the main Khmer Rouge base at Phnom Malai, intensifying the conflict in Cambodia. In 1989, Iranian leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini condemned Salman Rushdie's novel, The Satanic Verses, as blasphemous and issued an edict calling on Muslims to kill Rushdie. In 1989, Robin Givens was granted a divorce from boxer Mike Tyson in the Dominican Republic, ending a short and tumultuous marriage. In 1991, the psychological thriller The Silence of the Lambs was released in American theaters and went on to win 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Director. In 1999, American singer Prince divorced belly dancer Mayte Garcia after 2 years of marriage. In 2005, the online video sharing site YouTube was founded in San Mateo, California by Steve Chen, Chad Hurley, and Jawed Karim. The platform would quickly become one of the most visited websites worldwide. In 2010, Alexandre Bilodeau won the gold medal in men's freestyle skiing moguls, making him the first Canadian to win gold on home soil during an Olympic Games. In 2018, amid scandals and corruption allegations, South African President Jacob Zuma resigned and was succeeded by Cyril Ramaphosa.
Subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's events.